Buy a condo or buy a detached home? Our next guest is here to help you make the best decision. Please welcome the owner of North Compass Realty, Nadia Colucci.
There she is, Ms. Colucci. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you here. One of my favorite topics in the world of real estate, which is, buying a condo versus buying a detached home. And this is one of those things that a lot of first-time buyers especially will encounter,
right.
As a lot of times they're buying at lower price points, which is typically what people are buying condos for. Now, sometimes retirees are buying condos for other reasons, but for the most part, let's call it first-time buyers or entry-level buyers.
Okay.
So tell me, what do you think, first of all? Buying a condo versus buying detached, is it circumstantial? Is one usually better than the other?
I think it's very circumstantial. I think it depends a lot on, obviously, qualification. So usually when I meet with the first-time home buyer or just a buyer in general, we evaluate a few things and we talk about a few factors and what they want for their home and what they want for their lifestyle. So a lot of people coming from other states might have this sticker shock with pricing and what they can get here with what they can get elsewhere. So a lot of people say, I don't want to pay an HOA fee. I think it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. So they're anti. And I said, well, let's evaluate what that HOA fee gets you every month. So if you want to buy a detached home, here in San Diego, the median home price, I think last year was about $560, but the median home price for a single-family attached home was $340, so quite significant in price there. So you're either going to fall in one or the other. You do have a lot of people that can afford to buy that single-family detached, but maybe it's not going to be turnkey, move-in ready. It's going to need a lot of upgrades and work. So I think it's important to look at. Well, can I bust out my little diagram?
Are you ready? Yes, please.
Mm-hmm.
You have
ready for this,
on the back
Picasso?
of that? Do people sign it? Do I need me to sign it?
Yeah. So in detached home expenses, we obviously pay for water, sewer, trash, exterior building maintenance, pests, termite, landscape, pool if you have one, gardener, gas and electric, exterior and interior insurance, and then internet, cable, phone. Those are fixed costs, you would agree,
sure,
that you have to pay in every detached home,
yep,
right? Roughly, that'll run you about $900 a month here in San Diego, right? With just some average numbers I pulled. That's a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. We're looking at over $10,000 a year just in that, and that does not include your PITI and your mortgage costs, right? Well,
correct.
That includes your insurance. But other than that, when you compare these with what you're paying for in an HOA, let's say the standard HOA, around here is probably $300 a month. That will most likely include a pool, a community area, a tot lot, a pet area as well. So you start thinking like, all right, that shared expense, maybe you're not paying your sewer and trash. You're burdening that expense with all these other people in your HOA development. So it becomes less expensive. So at $300 a month, that's $3,600 a year compared to the over $10,000 for the other. So I think, back to circumstantial, it depends on what you can afford. But I like the opportunity to share a little bit of that expense with someone else and not put the full liability on my shoulders right away.
So you're very pro-condo, is what I'm hearing.
I mean, I am
This might
aware.
be our first disagreement.
Oh, no. I am aware that it might be easier. And what that allows for, because a lot of people want a certain lifestyle as well when they move to San Diego, and they want to be out and enjoying. And I think sometimes being a little bit more conservative on your purchase price allows for that. It also allows for you to pay down your mortgage a little quicker so that at some point you can rent it out.
We agree on that for sure, that, if you can't, you buy what you can afford.
Right.
If what you can afford is a condo, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Know what you're getting into, though. So I think, if you're going to buy a condo, there's a couple things you really need to do. And if you just go to episode 1 of Win This Listing, The Crazy Neighbor, and you'll see why sometimes buying a condo can be a crapshoot if you don't do your homework.
Right, your research.
If you're going to buy a condo in a complex, go knocking on the doors.
Right.
Seriously. I know you might think it's annoying people or whatever. If you're going to buy a place, you need to know who you're going to be living around.
Absolutely.
Who's beneath you? Who's above you? Who are your next door neighbors? Do they smoke? Does the smoke come right into your house? Because I've rented a number of different condos, and not one of them do I wish I would have purchased.
Right.
Because it's like something you didn't know until you lived there, and then you're like, oh, well, for my condo in M2I, for example, I lived there for 4 years, but I had neighbors that smoked, and for whatever reason, there's a wind tunnel that just brought it right into my house.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I think they have to do something about that, because I've heard about actually that complaint quite a bit.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is. And it's not fair that one should have to expose themselves to that bad air if they don't want it.
Right.
And I agree with that completely. In one of my condos, we had a similar situation. So I'll agree there that you have to do your due diligence.
Yes.
One other important thing is in the investigative period of the HOA docs, when you receive those in escrow, read them thoroughly, look at the budget, and document, when you call that HOA, it has a high turnover I've found over the years with employees. Document who you spoke with, what day, write that down, send yourself an email, and create a folder that says HOA for, this house or whatever. And I would look at that budget, see what they've talked about in the last, year of minutes for the meetings that they've had. See if they're discussing, our roof is old, we need a new one, things like that, because not only may your HOA fee go up, but you might have a special assessment. So in those ways, again, back to that circumstantial though, you can usually get a little bit more bang for your buck if you stay in a condo type of situation.
And it also depends on where you want to live. Like if you want to live in downtown, you're living in a condo.
Right. There's no other option downtown. Yeah.
If you're living in La Mesa or
Right.
Carlsbad
Right.
or Encinitas or really anywhere else,
Right.
you have the option to look at condos. And there are different ones that are going to have different amenities, different costs associated with them. So I'm not saying it's the end of the world to buy a condo. I'm just saying that there's a lot more variables that you need to investigate.
Right, for sure.
Than if you're buying, a single family home. Buying a single family detached, then you have an inspection report to go through, and that's pretty much your due diligence.
Right.
When you're doing HOA stuff or you're buying a condo, you've got to investigate the HOA and are they financially healthy?
Right.
How old is the building? Also, you have to look at litigation stuff,
Sure.
Which is a possibility. If you're buying in a complex that's less than 10 years old, I can almost guarantee you there will be litigation at that 10-year mark,
Yeah.
Which will cause a problem if
Right.
you need to sell while it's in litigation.
Or it'll cause a problem that you can't buy it, right? Because the lending restrictions on condos as well. So most lenders require that there is over 50% owner occupancy. If it's a new condo development, I believe over 30% have to be sold and owner occupied. So there's different restrictions there too, which again goes back to that circumstantial answer that it depends on your specific situation. But I liked, personally when I bought mine, I liked the idea that the responsibility was shared. I didn't have to organize the gardener. I didn't have to organize a roof issue if there was a leak. There is something nice about that. And I spent more time outside for me working, but yes, I was at the beach. I had that lifestyle that I wanted. And I think you'd agree that most people that move here immediately want to move to the beach. And along the coastline, builders were pretty smart. And they're like, well, we have this much land, so we're going to put 15 homes in there and they're going to be attached so we can get more bang for our buck. And so you don't really have a lot of options there. But I think it's great. I mean, I had a nice patio, I had an attached 2-car garage. That was important for me. And yeah, one of my neighbors was annoying and still is. But, two can play at that game with my loud Megadeth late night. Just kidding.
11 p.m. Megadeth time, the alarm just went off. Yeah, I mean, you end up with a situation. Every HOA board has the crazy person, the protester, you're going to get that in a condo because you're basically putting yourself into a group of people that you don't know.
Right.
So I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I'm saying that it's something that has to be really thoroughly investigated.
For sure.
And most people who buy condos don't thoroughly investigate.
But that's our job, to guide them as an agent, right? That is important. You take that as your responsibility, at least I do. And I sit down with them and I said, let's go through your HOA docs. And I said, please read them, take as much time as you want. If we need to ask for an extension, let's do it. But I do encourage that they call the HOA board as well. So we recently had an issue where these windows this condo had been flipped. This lady bought it and now she was selling it. But that flipper had never gotten HOA approval on those windows. So a letter was sent to her, my client's an escrow on it, and they're like, well, we don't want to take the responsibility of paying to correct these windows. It wasn't done under us, it's not our fault. So we waited, we stalled escrow until that HOA came back and said, we'll allow it for this special circumstance because we didn't catch it soon enough. And we were able to proceed, and now we have it documented that it won't be a problem for my client in the future.
That's, and those little things like that can happen that are sort of going to catch you off guard. You're not going to find that most of the time in your due diligence. But, I think you need to be prepared to be an active member of the HOA if you're going to be in an HOA.
Right.
Because they will make decisions, and you don't want to, after the fact, go, wait a minute, you mean we can't, have our American flags out on the porch anymore? Stuff like that will happen, and then it's too late.
Right.
So you have to be prepared because that HOA is going to make decisions for everybody. Got to be prepared to be involved. So nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But a lot of due diligence needs to be done if you're looking to buy a condo. However, they are dramatically more affordable. You can still have all the benefits of home ownership,
Right.
and you can, as you've proven, actually live cheaper
Right.
than you could in a single-family detached home situation in the multifamily attached. So, your point well made.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Nadia, for your time today.
Welcome.
Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Great stuff. Thank you so much. That's Nadia Colucci. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.